Welcome to another video in the Cumulus Cycles Kubernetes playlist. In the previous video, I showed you how to deploy a 3-tier web app using Kubernetes resources. However, when I created the Mongo and Mongo Express pod specs, I hard-coded the database username and password values as environment variables. And, of course, this isn't best practice. So in this video, I'll show you how to add those values using Kubernetes Secrets. I'll start out by creating a new YAML file in the database folder named Mongo Secrets. Then I'll add the API version. The kind will be secret. I'll add metadata and give this a name of Mondo Creds, and add a type of opaque, which will indicate that the secrets will be key value pairs. Then I'll add a data section with the key value pairs for the username and password. So I'll jump into the Mongo pod spec, copy the name for the DB root username environment variable, and paste it in, and give it its value. Then I'll do the same for the password. However, in this format, the values really wouldn't be any more secure than having them hard-coded in the pod spec. So when creating secrets in Kubernetes, instead of specifying data, we specify string data, and then base64 encode the values. So to base64 encode the values, I'll jump into a terminal, and then execute the command echo -n, passing in the string that I want to base64 encode, and pipe it to base64. Then I'll copy the response and paste this in. Then I'll do the same for the password. And save the file. Now, it should obviously be noted that although these values are base64 encoded, and they're better than just having the values in plain text, anybody who gets a hold of this Mongo Secrets YAML file can base64 decode these values. But it's better than providing the values in plain text. Now, to use these values, I need to go back to this pod specs and make some modifications. So in the environment section for the Mongo pod spec, I'll still specify the name of the environment variable, but the change I need to make is in the value. So instead of specifying the value key and its plain text value, we use value from and indicate a secret key ref. In our case, the name of the secret key ref will be Mongo Creds, and the key for the username will be the Mongo root username. Then I'll copy this block, paste it in the password, and change the key. And I need to do the same for the Mongo Express pod. I'll save the files, jump back into the terminal, then delete and reapply the Mongo Express, and App Server pods. However, before reapplying the pod specs, I need to create the secrets. Now I'll go ahead and reapply the Mongo pod and Mongo Express, and finally the App Server. Now I can go back to Mongo Express in the browser, add the database, the collection, and the documents. Jump into a new tab, test the app, and that obviously failed. So let's jump back into the terminal, and I've executed a kubectl logs against the app server, and we see that our authentication failed, which, to be honest, surprised me the first time I had done this. And in order to fix this, we need to jump back into VS Code, open up the source code for the app server, and modify the Mongo URL connection string to use the base64 encoded username and password we specified in the secrets. Then I'll jump back in the terminal, do a Docker image build, and then push the new tagged version of the image to Docker Hub. Then the last change to make is to jump into the app server pod spec and update the image to point to the new tagged version. Then we'll go back to the terminal and deploy the updated pod. Now let's jump back in the browser, open up a new tab, and hit the contacts route. And now we're getting our data. So finally, if we open a new tab and load the front end, we see our list of contacts. So that concludes this video on using Kubernetes Secrets. In the next video, we'll create a storage volume to persist the database data between MongoPod restarts. I hope to see you there.